Hello everybody, how are you today? Hope you are all fine. Today we are going to start a new lesson which is about plant adaptation. As we said before, the animal adaptation, which is they have some structured things that help them to survive and some behavior that help them to survive. Also the plant have a special part that help them to survive. Here we have the pine tree, which is, as we see from this picture, it lives in the cold place, which is in snow. Water lily lives in the place that covered with water, which is we call it wetland. And cactus, as we see, it has spines and live in the desert. Okay, so they are living in different habitats. So they must have special things that help them to survive. Now we are going to talk about two kind of trees. One of them is called acacia and kapok tree. Both of them, they having some different structural and behavioral adaptation that help them to survive in the environment. So the first one, we have acacia tree. Where we can find this tree? We can find this tree in savanna forest. Okay, so it is a grassland habitat, which means the habitat that covered with grasses. The temperature there, it's mild, which means it's moderate, in the middle. Not too hot, not too cold. But it has something. It has extreme lack of water during the dry seasons. So it has a shortage of water in the dry seasons, which last for half year without rains. It has a lack of water for the like a half of the year. It also it has a drought condition, so most plants cannot grow. Okay, so it depends on the water that comes from the half of the year only. Okay, so again, it's a grassland where we can find it in savanna forest. It is kind of grassland habitat. The temperature there, it's moderate. It's a mild. It suffer from a lack of water and depends only on the half of the year to get water. We can mostly see one large scattered tree, which is the acacia tree. If it doesn't have many trees, it has a scattered tree. We call it acacia tree. And then we have the kapok tree. Where we can find it? We can find it in the Amazon rainforest of Brazil. Water can easily be found as it rains most of the year in the rain forest, but it's hard for plants to find a sunlight. Water can be easily found, doesn't have the same thing that acacia tree has. It has plenty of water, but it's hard to find the sunlight. Okay, so here there is a lack of something. In case of acacia tree, there is a lack of sunlight, but here this is a lack of sunlight. Rainforest, they have like a soggy soil, which means the soil that has like enough and extra water. So because of the wet and muddy soil, and they have a strong wind. Okay, so we can find the tree about 70 meters tall, but one tree emerges above all of them, which is a kapok tree. The length of the tree is 70, but one tree emerges above of all them, which is kapok tree. Let's see its habitat again in the southern Africa, in the Amazon tree. We can see that the root, this is the acacia tree. This is the first one we talked about. This is a picture of it. Acacia tree, we call it umbrella shaped. We can find in the southern Africa. About the roots, it goes very long distance because it doesn't have a lot of water, and we call it a taproot, about 35 meters down below the soil. Then we have the trunk. This is very long trunk. Only the giraffe can get it, where on the trunk where the water is stored. And then we have the leaves. This is a very tiny leaves on the top of it that suck up all the sunlight, takes all the sunlight and make the food. And leaves that has also sharp spines to protect them from the animal. So again, they have a structural adaptation. How? We can find they have the roots that goes down about 35 meters. Then we have the trunk that is store the water, and then we have the leaves that take the sunlight and has a sharp spines to protect them from the animals. The acacia tree is adapted to live in the drought for many years, as the trunk store water at the home of the camel. So this part of the plant or the tree, we call it trunk, that used to store the water. Okay, like the home of the camel that stored the fats. The behavioral adaptation of the acacia tree, it has also behavioral. Something doesn't from its structure. When an animal began eating its leaf, it produces a poisons that make them taste very bad. So when animals come and eat it, to protect itself, just make a poison, so it make it taste very bad. And also it sent a smelly message in the wind to the near tree, telling them to make a poison too. Then we have the kabuk tree. The leaves, it's like the handy shape. Between them there is a narrow spaces. Gently, without tearing or cutting them because of the wind. So when the wind comes, it doesn't tear them. Then we have the roots. The roots stay up of the tree, stay up due to the large roots called a buttress root. They're not deeply planted in the ground because they have a soggy and muddy soil. Okay, so it is emerged above the tree, about 5 meters above. The behavioral adaptation, the kabuk tree use the wind to send different messages. Where the kabuk tree invites bats to come and visit a delicious smelling flowers. So again, we have, I'm going to say it, acacia tree again. Acacia tree, we said the trunk that stored the water, like the hum of the camel, and also the leaves that suck up the sunlight, and also it has a spines to protect it from the animal. And we said the roots that goes down about 35 meters down, and we said the name of it, we call it a taproot. And about the behavioral adaptations, it has two ways to defend itself. It produces a poison. When the animal tasted, is going to produce a poison that make it taste very bad, and also send a smelly message also to make other plants or other animals like produce the same poison. Then we have the kabuk tree. It's also like an umbrella about the plants, like a handy hand-shaped leaf, and between them there is a narrow spaces. When the wind comes, doesn't tear it. About the roads, it's called here buttress road. It's about 5 meters above, not deeply grounded or not deeply planted in the ground. The behavioral adaptations, the kabuk use the wind to send different types of messages, where the kabuk tree invite the bats to visit its delicious messages. Also the wind carries a fluffy seeds of the kabuk tree across the forest. So some of the kabuk tree do some behavioral adaptation, like what? It produces a smelly message. So when it produces a smelly message, it's going to invite the bats to have a pollination process to the flowers, which makes the plant produce. And then also take the seeds of the plant, we call it a fluffy yellow seed, across the forest, like distributed. This is the function of the wind. Here it's like an assessment. We have the water lily grow and survive in which kind of environment? We said water lily in the wetland, which means the land that covered with water. Pine tree grow in the place that has or the cold places. Cactus, we said, in the desert. Acacia tree and said in the savanna forest. Kabuk tree in the Amazon? Do you think that giraffe will continue eating from the tree? Why and why not? You can think about it and write in the comments. Thank you for listening and hope you enjoyed the lesson.